Before I get into today's video, I just want to say that I'm still working on being open and vulnerable and talking about these type of things. Being vulnerable has been a challenge for me my whole life. I am working on it and I've been working on it. It's just a journey for me and it's a lesson that I'm trying to fully pass, but it's something I always struggled with. Whether it was telling someone how I felt or telling someone that I was struggling with something or I needed help, I didn't do that. Instead of just telling someone how I was feeling, I would get angry because I didn't know how to articulate what I wanted to say in my mind. And then it made me mad because I felt like no one understood me. In a big part of my life, I felt like no one understood me. And I worked with telling people how I felt. Even if it was telling someone how I felt about them, like in a good way, it was hard for me to be vulnerable like that. And I get it honest. I just want you guys to know that because I never want to come across like I'm being insensitive or anything like that. I don't want to downplay the seriousness of mental health. And I know in my antidepressant video, I just kind of touched on surface level things that I went through. One, because like I said, I am not used to being vulnerable, especially vulnerable in a way where anyone could watch this, you know? And there's some things that I do want to keep private just because, you know, it is my life and I do want to keep some things private, but there's also things just I'm not ready to be open about and share those experiences with people. So please just understand that. And I don't want it to seem like it's X, Y, and Z, you know, figure out the equation. Mental health is so complex. There's no like, here's this magic medicine and here, like you'll be better. Everyone's journey is different. And I also just want to say, in my antidepressant video, I don't want it to seem like I was saying don't take antidepressants, because I did say this in the video, but I just want to say it again. If they work for you and that's what you need, then by all means do it. Like, that's great. At the end of my antidepressant journey, I was on antidepressants that did work for me. They made me feel normal, and I just was at a place in my life where I wanted to get off of them. But I also have had a really crappy experience with them. There's even times now when I feel like my anxiety gets so bad that I'm like, maybe I need an antidepressant. Like, I can't do this anymore. To be 100% honest, it just terrifies me to get back on them. I know the side effects that I've had with them, and I just don't ever want to experience that again. I just don't want anyone to think that I was bashing them for taking antidepressants or anything like that. I just said that I don't totally recommend them because of my personal experience with them. A big chunk of my antidepressant journey was very dark, and I just don't want anyone to have to experience that. And I just feel like there's other options and outlets to try out before you do antidepressants that I wish someone else would have went through with me. That does not mean don't get on them. I'm biased to my own personal experience, and I just don't want anyone to have to experience those side effects like I did. But to be honest, I'm just totally terrified of going back on antidepressants just because of my experience. Yes, there were some that helped, but for the most part, they didn't really make me feel much better. So that's just where I am with that. So I just wanted to clear that up. And honestly, I have anxiety about doing this video because I never want to seem like I'm downplaying or not truly expressing the seriousness of mental health, because it's so real. I want to be open with you guys. I just sometimes don't know. I just sometimes can't find the words. And I've said this in my antidepressant video, but I used to think that being vulnerable was weakness. I always had this hard shell, like, I'm good, you know, don't worry about me. And I was suffering on the inside. The sad part is that's how a lot of people are, and I feel like we're finally starting to open up and talk about it. But I just want you guys to know the place that I'm coming from, no one knew that I was suffering other than my relatives. There might have been one or two people that knew, like, growing up, that I was suffering, and if they did, it was very like surface level, yeah, like not deep. The only people that knew that I suffered with things was my family. So for me to get on the camera and just spill it all out, it's hard for me, okay? So please just bear with me, and I just want you guys to know where I'm coming from, because I never want it to seem like I don't care or like I'm just downplaying something. Mental health is just so important to me because I suffered in silence for a majority part of my life, and to even be here talking about it is just so huge for me. And yeah, I'm gonna get right into this video because I don't want this to just be a ramble video. Yeah, so today's video I'm talking about my anxiety and what I've been going through the last year and how I'm dealing with it. I'm also gonna give you guys a little bit of a backstory of my experience and journey with anxiety. So I was gonna say depression, but that's a different video. Okay, so this part's not gonna be super deep because I don't want this video to be like 40 minutes long, but I am gonna give you guys a backstory with my anxiety. I've had it literally my whole life since I could remember. Being a very young kid, probably, I don't know, 5 or 6, I have suffered with anxiety. I didn't know it was anxiety, but for example, I would be so scared of vomiting that I would feel like I was going to vomit. And if you didn't know, anxiety actually has symptoms. Your mind is very powerful. So that was one. And then I would tremble a lot, like, and I was having a panic attack and I didn't know. But I remember being younger and my mom being like, oh my gosh, like, what's wrong? Like, she'd cover me up in a blanket and, you know, she'd think I'd have to go to the hospital or something. And it was a panic attack. I would just literally be like shaking, and I get that sometimes now too, but I used to obsess about like I couldn't breathe, like I couldn't get enough air in, and that like I was gonna die. Well, anxiety causes you to feel like you can't breathe, like your chest literally feels tight. I also would freak out really late at night when no one else was awake that I wasn't gonna wake up in the morning, so I wouldn't go to sleep. And I used to have like the trembles, and I was like having a panic attack and I didn't really realize what was happening. I still to this day, you know, think of all these scenarios in my head, and it might not even be that big of a deal. Like for example, when I was in middle school, we used to walk down to the elementary to get our siblings. Well, some kids had gotten in trouble for going down there because they're boys and, you know, they were being loud and destructive. So they didn't want anyone going down there anymore, but it was okay for me to go down. Like obviously like people that weren't being, basically they weren't allowed to go down and hang out. It was okay for like, you know, people that behaved to go down. I obsessed and cried and made all these scenarios of me getting in trouble, and my mom had to end up calling someone that worked at the elementary school to just like ease my thoughts, and I was just sick all day about it. And it's really not that big of a deal, right? Like, I mean, I guess to a 12-year-old it would be, but like it was totally fine. I mean, that still plays in my life, you know. I overthink things and make up scenarios in my head and work myself up over something that didn't even happen. Literally just did this a couple weeks ago. Thought of something that not sure even happened, made all these scenarios up in my head, literally cried all day about it, almost had an anxiety attack, and I don't even know if it happened, you know? Like, it sucks. Anxiety wasn't always like panic attacks and anxiety attacks. Those were actually pretty like spaced out. I've always had anxiety of like overthinking and obsessing and freaking out and crying and making my whole day ruined over something that didn't even happen, you know. That's been my life. In high school, like I just always had this like me against the world mentality, and I felt like there was people that hated me that didn't hate me, or, you know, I just would come up with things in my head and just felt like no one understood me, whatever. When I got on antidepressants, I did have anxiety. I know that I expressed that I mostly didn't, because I didn't, but in some parts it did make it worse. Like especially in the beginning. My senior year, I had a panic attack because I was tardy, and I thought I was maxed out on my tardies because so many tardies, detention. I already had a detention, and so many detentions and stuff, you get your car privileges taken away or something like that. So I was obsessing about it. Literally my whole class, I was like on the verge of crying, just freaking out. Like I could feel a panic attack coming on. I started crying in my next class, like going down the hallway, and I had to go home. It's little things people don't understand. But yeah, so that was like what I dealt with. My panic attacks got a little bit worse on my antidepressants, but for the most part, my depression was just so severe that it kind of like pushed back my anxiety, because like I was so depressed that I just didn't care about anything. So when I got off of my antidepressants, I was at a point in my life where I felt good. Like I really wasn't depressed anymore. My antidepressants kind of numbed out my anxiety like a lot. When I got off antidepressants, I feel like that's when my anxiety was like, oh, hey friend, you remember me? Because yeah, I kind of felt, like I said in my antidepressant video, I felt pretty numb, and I was just so depressed that I just didn't, I don't know, I just didn't care about life. I didn't care about myself. I didn't give a shit. And I still had anxiety, like all the symptoms of anxiety. I just didn't have like panic attacks as much as I did in the beginning of like my antidepressant journey. I had a few, but panic attacks aren't something that happened weekly for me, and they still don't really happen weekly, but they definitely happen more than ever. So yeah, hopefully that wasn't too long, but that was just a little bit of a backstory, just to give you, you know, without getting into too much detail, surface level, that's just kind of like what I've always dealt with. And I don't really know how to explain anxiety in words of how it feels to someone that doesn't understand it. The difference between an anxiety attack and a panic attack for me is an anxiety attack, like I kind of feel like I know when it's gonna come on. Like I feel kind of anxious all day. I just kind of feel out of my body. Like I just feel very just up here in my head. So I kind of know when an anxiety attack is gonna happen, or anxiety attacks are usually situational. Like something happened, like when I got lost in the woods, I started to have anxiety because I was lost in the woods. Also, anxiety attacks for me are easier to pull out of. It's easier for me to calm myself and to get myself back to a grounded position. But panic attacks for me are out of nowhere. You don't expect it. You feel like you're dying. You feel like you're losing your freaking mind. And that's how anxiety attacks feel too. You just feel like you're losing your mind. For me, like an example was like you're on a ledge, on a cliff, and you're either gonna dive into the madness in your head or you're gonna slowly back yourself off the edge. And usually I can back myself off the edge, but there's been times I can't. It's honestly one of the most scary things to go through. Panic attacks are no joke. You literally feel like you're dying. You can have physical symptoms for each, anxiety and panic attacks. Anxiety, you can feel like you can't breathe, you're having a heart attack. You can like hear your breath, like or your heartbeat like in your ears. I don't know how to explain that. You feel like you're gonna pass out, and like there's so many symptoms that people don't realize that come with anxiety. So many symptoms, like your stomach, like diarrhea even, like there's so many symptoms. I'm sorry, but so when I got off antidepressants, my anxiety started to slowly creep back in, which for some things were good because I realized like, damn, I need to change how I'm living. I need to change what I'm doing here. I need to better myself. So that was nice. But within the last year, like 2019 into 2020, my anxiety's just been more present and in my face. I've just dealt with more anxiety and panic attacks. Knock on wood, my anxiety's been okay the last month or so. It's been okay, and I've been trying to take control and deal with it. I think we can agree that at the beginning of this year, it was crazy for everyone. My anxiety was sky high. I felt sick for weeks, especially when the pandemic happened. I literally thought I had COVID because I physically was sick. I could not get out of bed. My chest hurt. My chest felt tight, like I couldn't breathe. I felt awful. My nose, headaches, like I thought I had COVID, seriously. Because I was so anxious, and you know, you didn't know what life was gonna, we still don't know what's gonna happen, and that was hard to deal with all of that. So that just kind of like boop. But even before that, I started having anxiety, which this is so new to me within the last year. Having anxiety to the point where I feel like I'm literally going to pass out. And I didn't think this was a thing, but it is. It really is. And this is how crazy and powerful anxiety can be for people. If you guys want to watch my health issues video, I will link it somewhere because I don't want to like re-explain everything. So I thought maybe there was something else going on, but then I realized like, damn, I think this is in my head, because like I'm okay. I think like some of the food that I was allergic to had to play into it, because food's super important with anxiety and depression. People don't talk about that either. But if there's things that are like really irritating your system and a lot of inflammation, like it does cause anxiety. So I think, you know, that definitely plays a role. But I would be driving and feeling like I'm going to pass out. I don't even know how to explain this, but I would get so worked up and so anxious about passing out that I feel like I literally would almost pass out. And this is a real thing. Like if you are so terrified of passing out, you can pass out. So I would obsess like, oh my gosh, like there was a while I didn't like to drive. And I still kind of get like that. But I don't like to drive because I had to pull over one time when I was going to work and drive back home because I felt like I was literally going to pass out. Like my vision started going. This was happening beforehand, but when the pandemic stuff happened, I didn't like to go places. Like if I had an appointment, I would feel like I was gonna pass out like at the appointment because I would be so anxious. This happened when I was at the chiropractor. I get cold and like I tremble and my stomach just gets weak, like I have to go to the bathroom. I was dealing with this for a long time. It's really upsetting because it affects your everyday life. How am I gonna go to work if I feel like I'm gonna pass out? How am I gonna go to the store? This was just happening a couple months ago, but I would get so anxious about going to the store because in the store, I literally felt like weak, like my legs would go weak and I would get scared because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm here alone. Like, what's gonna happen? How am I gonna get back to my car? Like, what are people gonna think of me? All these things are going through my head, and then it made it worse. So that was something that was really hard for me this year, and I still get little bits of it, but I have taken more control of that, so I am doing better. I've had panic attacks a lot in this last year, come out of nowhere. You feel so drained after having a panic attack too. Like you literally just feel like you could just go to bed after, like you could just fall asleep because you are so drained. Your body just can't handle it. So before Michael, I was pretty independent, and I'm still a very independent person. I don't like asking people for help. I like to do everything myself. So when Michael came into my life, it was totally different, you know? And I started to kind of lean on him when I was having these anxiety attacks and stuff, which is it's good to do. You want someone to lean on. But I started to do it so much that like I would get anxiety if he wasn't here or if I wasn't with him. And I do, and I still to this day feel calmer when I'm with him. I feel safer, and I think that's normal for everyone, but it started to get to a point when I was really like kind of codependent. I'd get so anxious and upset when he wasn't here, and especially when the pandemic happened, I mean, I saw him less and less. So the codependency, I had to try to stop that too, because I can't depend on someone to be there all the time when I'm having an anxiety or panic attack. I have to work this out. And even before I was with Michael, I started to experience, you know, anxiety and panic attacks. And there are times when I need to talk to someone when I'm having a panic attack, and I'll call my mom or whatever. So that is something that does help me, but I had to try to find other things to help that as well that I could do on my own. I get super out of my body and into my head, and I get really detached where I feel like I literally can't focus on anything. Like everything seems kind of fake. Like I'm here, but I'm not. And I feel detached. Like I feel like my vision's not as focused, and I definitely feel like cutting out some of the foods that were bothering me has helped. There's so many things that play into anxiety, but yeah, I mean, I've thought about going back to see a therapist, and I definitely think therapists are great. And at this time, I feel like I've got things under control, but even if I do feel that way, it's still good to go see someone. It's just my therapist that I used to go to was pretty expensive, and I know that, you know, your mental health is more important than that, but I feel good right now. I do, knock on wood. I feel all right. I mean, I feel like I can manage my anxiety right now. My old therapist said that I had OCD tendencies, and I definitely saw some of those tendencies coming back out this year. You know, for example, when I was younger, if we didn't leave at 10 o'clock like we were supposed to, I would like obsess that now the day's ruined. Now like we can't have a good day. Like it gives me anxiety that we didn't leave at 10 and now we're leaving at 12. It ruined my whole day, and there's still things that happens for me. It's hard for me to flip the switch sometimes of being like, the day is ruined, I can't do this, to like, it's fine, you know, like we still have so much time to do everything. Like, so I just saw a lot of those patterns starting to play back into my life, and I hated it. I felt like I was taking steps backwards. I felt like I was going back down a place that I thought I wasn't ever gonna go back down. It's disheartening when you feel like you have gotten so much better into a better place, and then you're slowly going back. But I feel like I've gotten myself to a more stable place, and I feel good. So here are some of the things that I've been doing for the passing out thing. In the store, when I feel that way, I don't let myself think about it. I'm just like, you're okay, you're okay. And like if I had to be like, you just gotta get this item and this item, then you can get out. Because literally when I would get in my car like from a store, I would feel better. But yeah, so like I just try to like tell myself, you're good, you're protected. Like, and I don't want it to be like toxic positivity or anything, because I'm not like being positive. I'm just trying to be like, you're not gonna pass out, you're not gonna pass out. I just try to like, I try to push down the thoughts of like passing out with thoughts of like, no, you're good, no, you're good, even though I'm like, you know. So that's what's kind of helped me. I do like a grounding cord if you guys are like into spiritual and meditation, stuff like that. I try to picture like tree roots, you know, connecting at the bottom of my spine into the ground. That helps me sometimes. Meditation obviously helps, but honestly, I can't get myself to meditate every single day. It's just not. Maybe one day, but meditation does help, and it sucks because I know that it would help me so much more if I just did it every day, but it is hard for me to like sit down and do it sometimes. And that's when they say you should do it more, and longer is when they say you don't have time for it. But it does really help. Not in mid panic attack or anything like that, but it does help keep my anxiety at bay. So if you can just literally, it's just deep breathing and just being quiet. If your meditation is just sitting by the pool or going for a walk or something, like do whatever you need to do. Exercise is huge, especially for me when I'm feeling very in my head. I like to do yoga, walking, running, but yoga really helps ground me and get me back in my body. And sweating, that really helps my anxiety. So when I'm like, yesterday I was kind of feeling a little anxious and I was like, I'm gonna go do yoga, and I felt better afterwards. If I feel overwhelmed, they're just really in my head. Exercising is like huge for me. There's so many studies on how exercising helps depression and anxiety and any mental health, really, stress. I mentioned this in one of my anxiety videos, but I like to listen to like healing frequency music. If you type in like root chakra music on YouTube, it'll pop up, and it's just, root chakra is like your grounding. You know, you feel really anxious if it's not balanced. So I like to listen to that, or like your solar plexus, like the lower chakras. Type in like solar plexus chakra on YouTube and you can listen to that music, and it does help. Like, it's known to literally help like raise your vibration and ground you. Taking baths help me, going for a drive, that type of stuff. Talking to someone helps me. Essential oils, eating better helps me. Sometimes I just like to burn some sage and put some essential oils on, put some healing music on, and just relax. Taking care of your body and stuff does affect your mental health. So like, not getting enough sleep is huge. When I don't get enough sleep, anxiety's like, hey, I'm here. Before I get into what helps my panic attacks, like mid panic attack, I do want to go over some of the supplements that I am using currently. Now, I will do a whole updated video because I have other supplements that I take that don't help with anxiety, but these are the ones that seem to be helping. My doctor has me on ashwagandha. This is the Wellness Way brand. It's from her. I will link it below, but I'm gonna link ones from Amazon because these are really freaking expensive, and I'm probably going to switch to Amazon as well because I can't afford this all the time. Like, it's like $60 a bottle for some of these. She said ashwagandha helps with like your stomach and stress. I'm sure like stressors and your body, like especially when you're putting in food that doesn't agree with you. But when I looked it up, ashwagandha was big for anxieties. I feel like this definitely just like calms me a little bit. I put a half a teaspoon in water in the morning and at night. So I will say this liquid stuff is freaking awful. It tastes like ladybugs. If ladybugs had a taste, it tastes like the smell of ladybugs. It's not good, but I feel like it definitely has helped my anxiety. And I also will combine a half a teaspoon in the morning and night with this California poppy. Now this is mainly for anxiety. It's a calming herb. Now this one is from Amazon. I will link it below. It's organic and it has no alcohol. I don't take this by itself, but it says you can take it up to 4 times a day. I haven't taken this like when I have bad anxiety, so I can't like rave about it. But they had really good reviews on Amazon, and I don't know, it seems to help. Like I said, I haven't used it like when I'm feeling super anxious, like a CBD or something like that, but I like these two together. And I also want to say, like, these are just what's helping me and the things that my doctor recommend. You should talk to someone, don't just do what I'm doing. But at the same time, they're just herbs, they're plants. Unless you have an allergy to one of them, I don't think it's gonna hurt you if you just try it out. I feel like I've done that before, just buying a random supplement and trying it. It's not like you're taking someone else's medication that you shouldn't be taking. So yeah, that's what I'm using. And I'm also gonna get chamomile, because chamomile I heard is really good for anxiety. I also heard you can smoke chamomile and it's kind of like weed, but not as like psychoactive. I used to smoke weed and I've tried to smoke it again for my anxiety, but now I just get more anxiety if I smoke weed, so I can't smoke weed anymore. But that's a whole different video. So Michael bought me a few things and I was like, damn, is this a sign? Like, do you think I'm crazy? I know that's not what it is. He just cares about me and he hates seeing me suffer. So he got me some stuff that one of his coworkers takes and really likes. This is Restore Life Formula Sleep Renew. I guess it helps you with sleep. I have not tried these though, so I'm just letting you guys know. Now this one is Nutritional Frontiers Calm Day, which I saw where this got good reviews. To be completely honest, taking things for anxiety gives me hella anxiety. So when he gave me these, I was like, I can't do that. Like, I'm just like worried about side effects, I guess. Like one time my doctor, she gave me something for allergies, but on the bottle when I got it said take one for anxiety. And then, you know, of course I went on WebMD and some of the side effects was like, oh, this like made me freak out. I'm just like, nope, not taking it. So I'm kind of weird. I'll let you guys know about these. I'm sure they work fine. They're from like, they're made with vegetable something. Michael also bought me CBD like caramel candies. I just took like a little bite of them, so I don't know if they actually help. I have taken CBD before, like in a smoke, like in a vape, but it kind of gave me anxiety because I was like, I feel way too calm, like this is weird. And sometimes that happens with me, like when I feel too calm, I'm like, I'm not in control. I have to be in control, and that's why like for weed doesn't work for me. I don't like feeling, even drinking gives me anxiety too. I just don't like feeling like I'm not in control, and I've never been like that with drinking. I used to drink all the time when I was younger. Slowly within the last couple years, I get anxiety if I'm even drunk. Like, you know, I feel like that's the opposite. I feel like people drink when they have anxiety. So I don't know. It doesn't work for me. So CBD I'm a little iffy about, but they seem to do okay. I just took like, they're very small doses, just like 25 milligrams. But yeah, also look in your area because I know sometimes people get in trouble for having CBD. So that's just one. I know you can take it liquid too. I know it helps a lot of people with anxiety, but yeah, I'm just weird. I'm really sorry if this is a really long video. I apologize. Before I end this video, I do want to talk about what I do when I'm having a panic attack, because you know, those lovely things just come in when they want and don't even knock. And I will say Michael is a huge help when I'm having panic attacks. You know, he makes sure that I'm okay. Like he helps me breathe and, you know, gives me a hug and, you know, asks me what I need and stuff like that. So I'm very grateful for that. So with that being said, I feel like hugs like help when someone's having a panic attack. Not always. Some people are totally different. But sometimes it helps bring myself back to reality. Like I need someone to pull me from my head. Now that's not gonna snap me out of it, but they do help sometimes. Deep breathing is huge. Inhale through the nose, out through the mouth. Huge. That helps a lot. Talking to someone, like if I'm by myself and I feel like I'm going crazy or I feel like I'm gonna die. I had anxiety in my Crystal Warehouse video at the end. I didn't record it or anything, but I had one that night. But I was like, oh my God, I feel like I have to go to the hospital. Like I'm gonna die. Like I'm gonna pass out. I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack, something's happening. So talking to someone kind of helps ground me too, because I'm like, help me, like what's going on? Like talk, like do something. So I have to talk to someone most of the time. There's been times where I haven't. So what helps me when I'm having a panic attack, or when I'm like right on the edge and I can just feel myself wanting to dive off that cliff, is going outside, breathing in fresh air, and walking on grass and bare feet. Now that helps with anxiety, period. So if you guys want to do that like every day to help ground yourself, but it does help ground you. I like to do that. It has helped before when I'm having a panic attack. Splashing like cold water on my face, putting like a cold rag on my face helps sometimes. Like I said, these things just help. That doesn't mean like it's gonna like really pull me out of anything. I don't know if I mentioned essential oils for anxiety. I do like it. I mean, I don't really put it on during a panic attack because I'm panicking. But I like lavender or peppermint. Sometimes I do burn sage when I feel one coming on. I like to pray. I like to call on my angels, Archangel Michael, you know, with his sword, come protect me from any energy that's not mine, because honestly, anxiety can definitely be energy that is not yours. It could be picked up by someone else or just something in your field. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I almost forgot this one. What helps me in a panic attack? This is huge for me. Doing some yoga positions, doing down dog. I used it the last few times I had a panic attack and it really helped. But doing down dog, so your head is facing the ground, and I forget what my yoga teacher said about it, but it's something about your head. She said something about keeping your head above your heart. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know what she said there. And like child's pose is great. And like deep breathing, it helps me so much. Those have been pretty big ones for me that I sometimes forget about. Oh my gosh. And listening to healing music does help as well. But yeah, like I said, like praying and like calling on my angels to like help protect me and help ground me, doing a grounding cord, anything that you can think of. That's what I do. And luckily I do get myself to back off the edge of the cliff, but it's scary, and I'm so sorry if any of you guys are suffering with that. And if any of you guys have any other suggestions on panic attacks or anxiety attacks, how you deal with them, what helps, please leave them in the comments below for myself and for other people to look at. Share some of you guys' experience. I think it's great that we all can be vulnerable and open, and we all can just help each other. I'm sorry if this video is so long, but like I just want to explain to you guys what I've been going through. It's been rough. Anxiety is just so scary and it's unpredictable, and I'm working with it the best that I can. Affirmations help in the morning to with anxiety, to keep yourself, you know, level-headed. But you know, it's an everyday learning process, and some days I feel like I'm taking a huge step back. Like today I feel good, I really do. I hope this could help someone, or help someone that knows someone that's going through it, to understand a little bit better. Like I said, I'm not the best with words. Sometimes I just don't know the words to actually explain, and I feel like no one really truly knows how it feels unless you go through it yourself. It's just surface level stuff. It's been kind of dark some days, and I feel like hopeless, and I feel like nothing's gonna get better. You know, my anxiety, I'm just gonna go insane. That is the true feeling of anxiety, and in a panic attack, I feel like I'm going insane. It's like you're on a whole other world, like you're just losing yourself, and I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to explain it the best I can, and I hope that I did. But I hope this helped you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it's a little bit more serious, but I just want to be open with you guys and let you guys know that like there's been some days where I didn't upload because I was so anxious and just kind of down. It brings you down because you feel hopeless, and yeah, so I'd love for you guys to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.